What's up, everyone? Welcome to another virtual activity for Construction Month. We are here with Simpson Sheet Metal today, and they've prepared a really cool video to show us the inside of their shop and how they do some of the things that they do. But I am here with Robin Bartholow from the North Coast Builders Exchange, who is going to be my co-host today. Robin, will you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Brandon, and welcome everybody. Really glad you've joined us for another career exploration video, live stream video. My name is Robin Bartholow, and I'm the Workforce Development Director at the North Coast Builders Exchange. I'm also the director of a construction exploration and training program we manage called the North Bay Construction Corps. You guys are in for a treat today. We have Barbie Simpson, who is the owner of Simpson Sheet Metal. And I'd like to introduce you to her now, and she'll introduce you to her team of great heating, ventilation, and air conditioning people, and a great company. Thanks for being with us, Barbie.
Thank you for having us. So my name is Barbie Simpson. I am the owner of Simpson Sheet Metal. Our business, we do heating, ventilating, air conditioning, as you said, Robin. We have a fabrication shop that we are going to be presenting to you today, where we make anything out of any metal, copper, stainless, zinc. And the work that we do is on commercial and residential projects, on new construction or retrofit. And we also have a service department. We are a family-owned business. We've been in business for 40 years. I've worked here since I was 16 years old and started out just filing, and over the years, just learned every facet of the business. And about 4 years ago, took over ownership. And we are a woman-owned business. We are a certified woman-owned business, which is wonderful for us. And it's just, our culture here is an amazing culture. A lot of family people have worked here for years, and we just really love what we do. And I've got a great team here behind me, and I'll introduce you to them. And we're just excited about showing you a little bit about our shop and what it is that they can do out there. So we're just happy to be a part of this and letting people see what it is we do. So I'll introduce you right now to, this is Frankie Young over here, behind me over here. Frankie is our shop foreman and has been a big part of getting the videos together today to show you all what we do. And back right here behind me, this is Mark Hagerty. He is our general manager and has been a great support in our business growth and supporting me in our processes here. And then over here to my side is Dave Ehrmantraut. And Dave is another one of our foremen who handles and manages almost all of our commercial work and our men that work out on the job sites as well. And so we're all available today for questions and to, go through this process with you.
Thank you, Barbie. So we've got a video, and I'm wondering if, Frankie, you're the one who was basically in this video the whole time. You want to just cue this video up and tell us what we're about to see?
Yes, absolutely.
Slip around there a little bit so she can see. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll scooch out and he can scooch in.
Yeah, so just give us a quick synopsis about what we're about to take a look before we start this video.
So basically what I did is made a video on some roof flashings for a residential track we're doing to kind of show you guys some of the more, it's not super intricate, but a little bit more complex sheet metal work that we do rather than just building a square piece of ductwork for your heater or something like that. So there's kind of multiple processes just to show you from start to finish kind of what a product's for and the outcome for it.
Now, before we start it though, for those who aren't, privy with what flashing is, will you explain what flashing is on a roof?
Yeah, so basically, if you build a house, as most of you guys know, they build it with 2x4s, right? And then they plywood it. So basically what it is our flashing is like a secondary waterproofing. So it's called bitumen or whatever. They use a waterproofing to go over the building to basically keep water from getting into it, to keep it watertight. And then our flashings in turn go over that as a secondary form of waterproofing, just so your house doesn't leak, basically.
Okay, great. So I'm going to start our video right now, and we'll stop it in between and maybe ask a little bit more questions or allow you to talk a little bit more.
Hey guys, so this is the plasma machine. This is what I program in the office so that the guys in the shop can come out here and burn it all. Some of the stuff we do, some ductwork, some big machines, hydraulic brake, hydraulic shear, and another plasma table. So right now I'm burning out some lower corners and some clear stories, and I'll show you what these all look like here in a minute when I start to get them bent up on the hydraulic press brake.
Hey guys, this is the hydraulic press brake. We got to bend up these flashings I just videoed burning on the plasma table. And I'll show you how they go together.
So, Frankie, those. So first, just to clarify, you cut out that sheet metal with a plasma cutter, you were saying?
Yeah. So basically, we used to cut them all by hand, but because we do so many of them now, and I have the ability to do like CAD programming on the computer, it's a lot faster. If we just make one, we'll cut it out by hand. But when we do big batches like that, I already have all the files saved in my computer. So basically, I just have to import them to it's called Practicam, and it'll print them out on the plasma. All they have to do in the shop is go out and select the right job and click start. And then it's nice too, because they can be working on something else while the plasma burns. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone.
This may sound like a silly question, but just not being familiar with the industry, are the flashings all kind of cut and bent at a certain standard, or is it different for every building and every house?
So every building and every house is different. Like that roof that we did those flashings for is a 4-on-12 pitch. So every, like the lower corner gets bent up at 71 degrees. The clear story gets bent at 135. So for every part on a roof on a house or where it hits, there's a different degree too. So that's kind of the harder part about it, is every scenario is different. So that's what kind of makes it interesting. You're always doing something new and figuring out a new way to bend something up or make it faster or whatever the case is.
Okay. Robin, do you have a question before I go?
I just didn't want to build, we make Z-bar or angle. It's not a whole lot of brain power as far as putting a piece of metal in a machine and making it bend 90 degrees. When you do these, you have to figure out the right pitch angles and how they intersect and all that stuff. So it's a little bit more, I find it more interesting when I was newer than just doing something super basic.
Yeah, I do have a quick question just to kind of tag on to what you guys are talking about. So there's the design piece, right? Which is what you're talking about, creating it in the software.
Yep.
And then there's the actual in the shop, taking, transferring the program over to the machine.
Yeah.
But do you have to do any programming yourself, or is that all done with the software?
No, I program everything. I just have those files saved. So like when we started, like this job was for Willow Glen Homes. When we started that, I made a file for every type of flashing because there's probably, let's say 15 different roof flashings that every house is going to have. So I designed every one of them and then just saved it to a file. So the computer didn't generate those. It doesn't know how to. I laid them out from scratch and then I can pretty much just copy and paste them in my file. But it's nice because you have to know how to lay them out from scratch. The computer doesn't do it for you, but it makes it to where if someone newer in the shop can do much more complex work that they don't have to know how to lay out, I can just tell them, bend this 20 degrees and bend this 90 and solder it. So it makes it to where everyone can kind of do it instead of just the two, people that have been here longer in the shop.
Frankie, do you use much math every day when you're doing that? Because I mean, you're talking about, degree. Okay.
A ton. Geometry is huge, and I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention when I was younger. But I've been learning it over the years, and I learn a little bit more, every week. But yeah, it's all math.
Wow.
So even if you don't do great in geometry in high school, you can still learn it later, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Once you get into the trade, pay attention in school.
Yeah, and I did go to school for 5 years in the apprenticeship class that we have through the union, and they go over it with you, but you could tell who did better or maybe went to high school more recently because they caught on a lot quicker than some other people did. So, but yeah, you can actually learn after the fact, but it definitely helps to have that knowledge beforehand.
On that similar note, what about CAD programming? Is that something that is really helpful to have that knowledge ahead of time, or is that something that can be pretty easily learned on the job?
It would help to have the knowledge ahead of time. Part of it's hard because you can know how to program as good as anyone in the industry, but until you can't program the fittings if you don't know how to make them longhand, like from scratch. So having the computer background, which I did not have a computer background, I wasn't a big fan of computers before I started, definitely would give you a slight advantage. You still have to learn how to make them from scratch to program them, but it would definitely help.
Okay.
And every company like us, all the companies out there, we're not huge. I mean, some companies have 6 or 7 guys do their CAD programming. Here I do it. So there's definitely an industry for that in our trade for sure.
Okay. All right, I'm going to continue this video. I think what we're going to see next is you're combining some of those pieces that you were just cutting and folding, right? Okay.
Yep.
Hey guys, so this is a spot welder. This is how we attach all of our flashings before we solder them so they can't move and they stay at the correct pitch. So basically we keep this nice and sharp and it goes like this. Here's our roof to wall to valley flashing. Goes together like that. And I'll show you what this guy looks like when it's installed. Cool layout stuff right there. And here's a roof to wall to hip.
Now, Frankie, I'm going to turn down the volume. Maybe you can tell us how that spot welder is connecting those two pieces.
Oh, one more time?
Yeah, said I'm going to turn down the volume. Maybe I'm just hoping you can speak over this and tell us how that spot welder is actually connecting those two pieces.
Well, the two pieces of copper, when they come together, there's a, I'm trying to think of the correct terminology. The pulse,
This line on the back here, this is
It's
how we
like
line up to make sure the pitch of the
the
roof is
pulse
right.
length
So I
setting
click
or
that,
something like that. So
go down.
basically, when those two come into contact, you have to set your pulse length and your wavelength. There's a few different settings on it. And basically those control how hot the tips get and for how long they spot weld. Like there's actually, for every different type of metal, you have to use a different spot weld setting. Like for stainless, it's a lot shorter of a setting because it'll blow through the metal. For copper, it's a lot longer and hotter because it's harder to stick. So, yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different settings as far as how to go about getting it done.
But basically, it's.
Okay. Well, thanks.
It's basically, but oh yeah, it's basically melting the two pieces of metal together is what it does. So
Got it.
instead of actually using a welder and burning away all the metal and filling it with some metal, it just does a tiny melting mark and just combines the metals. It's not super strong. If you really tried, you could break it apart, but that's why later in the video, I'll show you how we solder it. It just kind of helps it hold its place.
Okay, so that's just to kind of put them together kind of loosely, not super strong, and then later you kind of solder them so that they're sealed pretty tight.
It's fairly strong. You'd have to get pliers and it would take a while to break them apart, but they're not like it would be a fully welded piece. They're not that strong.
Okay, great. Thank you for explaining that. I'm going to go back to the video here.
So that's a clear story. It goes basically on the edge of your roof, and I'll show you where those go on the next video. Hey guys, so this is how we waterproof our flashings so they don't leak, because that's the whole point of them. This is muriatic acid. This is what we use to cut through the galvanizing on the metal so that we can solder it. So basically we'll come over here and we'll put this on here. And this just cuts through the galvanizing lines and solder and sweat really nice. So then what we do, you have your torch. This is for soldering. See how it melts the solder? Get your heat right, but basically you'll come over here and put your iron in there. That right there is a solder joint. And then you come to this one. So when we do this, we try to make it an assembly line. It's kind of like welding, except more for waterproofing and bonding metal together, but it holds metal together pretty darn well. And then, so those are two inside corners for a roof. And then we'll come over here. I'll show you a couple different ones. This is that wall to step the valley flashing we were talking about. We're gonna get a nice acid in there. And then I'll do this clear story while we're at it. Some of this metal's poorer quality, so we have to use a wire brush to get the acid to cut through on it. Basically go like that, grab a stick of solder. You want to get it nice and hot and sweat the metal. It's not just a covered metal, you want it to sweat through as much as you can. That'll keep it watertight. All these flashings are different, but soldering is the same. Gotta wait for it to start to sweat through.
That's how we make a flashing from start to finish, from the burn table to the brake, to the spot welder, to the soldering area. You have to know how to lay all this stuff out, but once you figure out, it's pretty cool. It's a fun trade. There's a lot of different things you can do. We do welding in the back for grease stuff. We make flashings, we make duct work, we make kitchen hoods, all sorts of fancy stuff. So you should give it a try if you're interested. It's a lot of fun and it pays pretty well. Thank you.
So
Wow. Very
I,
cool.
I'm just curious on the last thing that you mentioned. You said it pays pretty well. I know that a question that the students always have for anytime they're connecting with industry is, generally speaking, what the pay is like, at least for a starting person in that industry.
So if you were to start out, you'd be at 21, 22 bucks an hour in the apprenticeship.
Plus your benefits.
But you have full benefits, health, medical, everything. And you get a vacation pay as well. So depending on how far along the trade you are, you get a certain dollar amount per hour goes into your vacation. So like when you're a journeyman, which I am, and a foreman, it's like, I think it's $4 an hour.
Right. So basically, I'll pop in here for a second. When someone is getting paid, their wage is generally their benefit package. Oops, sorry. Their benefit package is almost always about equal to what their wage is. So when they, like Frankie said, when they start out, it could be 20 something dollars an hour. But as they progress through their apprenticeship, when they turn out to be a journeyman, they're somewhere in the high $50 an hour range. Foremen are over $60 an hour range, plus their benefit package on top of that. But it's an investment of time. It takes 5 years to go through an apprenticeship program.
But at the same time, with that being said, is I'm 28 years old. Half my friends went to college, half didn't. By the time you're turned out as a journeyman, if you're doing building trades, you're making over $100,000 a year. And then if you're a foreman, which most young people definitely have the ability to do that in their career as long as they have some drive, you're going to be making $130,000 a year, 140. So out of all the people I went to school with, I'm probably top 5 of making enough money, and that's included people who went to Stanford, Ivy League schools. And I mean, I don't have any student debt. When we go to our union, the union pays for your schooling. You have union dues every month, but they come out of your paycheck. You don't even really notice they're there. But I mean, let's just say as a typical foreman, not getting into tax stuff, but you'd be making somewhere in the $1,400 a week range after taxes, and you get $400 a week into your vacation pay. So you're looking at, $1,800, $1,900 a month, a week in pay. So it's pretty hard to argue with that, in my opinion.
Wow, that's great. Frankie, how did you get educated in your trade? Did you go to a trade school before and then join the union, or did you join the union and then get trained? How did that work for you?
So I started as a pre-apprentice, which it goes pre-apprentice, apprentice, and then journeyman. If you're in doing what I do, there's a couple different facets of the industry. I did 2 years as a pre-apprentice because the union wasn't super busy, so they weren't pulling as many students into the apprenticeship program. But I had 2 years as a pre-apprentice, and I was trained pretty heavily in those 2 years. And then when I became an apprentice, the foreman at the time, he kind of took me under his wing, I guess you could say, and started teaching me the computer side of it, because I do estimating, talking to customers. It's more than just, what I showed in the video. So he kind of gave me that scope of work as well, so that when he left, I was a lot better prepared than I guess others were to take over at the time.
And what about your schooling? How much schooling did you
have? And I had to go. So our schooling, and it changes somewhat frequently, but we went to school 3 times a year for 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, you collect unemployment through EDD. So you're going to school for 6 weeks a year, and it's roughly every 4 months. You go to school for 2 weeks. So,
and that's for 5 years.
And that's for 5 years. And then it's for 4 years. Your 5th year, you go to night school, which means after you're off, you go from school from like 5 till 8 o'clock at night. at your local training center, like Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you do that for a year. They have weeks off. They have, that's not 100% the schedule, but basically it's 4 years of schooling for 2 weeks, 3 times a year, and then your 5th year is night schooling. And the idea of that is by your 5th year, most companies want their 5th year guys running work by then, so they don't want to lose them for 2 weeks. So that's why they make them go to school at night.
So somebody on YouTube commented, and they brought up a good point that, we talk about benefits, but students don't generally understand the value of benefits. And I'm wondering if, exactly, Barbie, if you could even just somehow put how important benefits are, even if it's just in some sort of dollar amount, if they didn't have it, right? If they had to get it separately, how important are benefits?
Well, benefits are huge. And when it comes to our industry, your benefit package is just about as much as what you make per hour. And part of that benefit package is healthcare. And so anyone that's in our union, they have healthcare for themselves, their wife, their children, their dependents. They have an entire healthcare package, which we all know is huge these days.
Right.
Another part of that, huge portion of that, is the pension. And a lot of money goes into their pension plan. And so they, like Dave behind me, Dave will be the first to retire here between Frankie and Dave. But the pension, it's huge. When you look at some people, they're working till their, dying days. People out of our trade generally are able to retire at a young age, and they're retiring with a good package that they're able to live the lifestyle that they led while they were working. So, the overall package is about your healthcare, your retirement, and looking towards that direction. And obviously, the longer you have invested, the more that you're going to get out in the end. So someone that's Frankie's age, or Dave, who's been with us, how many years have you been here, Dave? 26 years. So, when they retire, they're going to have a great package to live the rest of their lives comfortably.
And to throw like a dollar amount at it, if you're a journeyman and you go through the apprenticeship at a somewhat young age and retire, they're bringing home after taxes and retirement, it can be from, depending on how much you can decide how much you put into that. But $9,000 a month. That's after everything's said and done. So that's pretty good wages as far as not having to work anymore. And the retirement deal is 25 years and 55 years of age now, right? So if you have 25 years in and or you're 55 years old, you could be collecting,
your full package of retirement.
And they tell us in school, but if you put your max amount in, you can retire with like several $1 million if you max out your retirement. Some people can't afford to do that. Some people can. It all depends on how many dollars an hour you put towards it. But yeah, so that's just like for numbers' sake.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's really important. I think it's something that students don't quite understand, having not worked, most of them not worked in a job that offers those kind of benefits. We do have a little bit less than a minute left of video that I do want to get to real quick, because it shows the flashing having been installed, and you explain a little bit about that in the video. So I'm going to jump over to there real quick, and then we'll come back together.
This is Chris.
Okay, roof flashing. Composition roof. This roof here is 4-on-12 pitch, not very steep. You got an outside corner. Up the pitch, you got step shingles. On the hips, you've got a wall to hip to step flashing. Roof to wall. Another wall to hip to step flashing. Step shingles in here. To a step to valley to wall flashing to another outside corner to an inside corner, which will be filled here with step shingles again, and then back to roof to wall. Pretty simple roof.
Okay, so that kind of helps us understand all those pieces together.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, very cool.
Yeah, and I didn't say, but in between that, where he said roof to wall, basically that's just a piece of metal bent up at the pitch of the roof. So that combines all those different flashings together, basically.
Okay.
And they're all screwed in. We just put them there so you could see that's not what they look like 100% complete, but it gives you a basic idea.
Right. So we are running pretty close to our time, but I do want to spend some of our last minutes here together answering a few additional questions. I've got a list of questions. Robin, do you want to maybe ask them? I know that you have some too.
Yeah, I do. So I'm just interested in finding out, I mean, the benefit package is amazing, the pay is amazing, but on a day-to-day basis, like what is your favorite part about the work you do? What, and I'd like to hear from all four of you. Just, you know.
Dave step in. I'll have Dave step in first. Dave, again, has worked here 26 years and has done every facet of the business.
Probably the problem solving would be my favorite part. You know, all the questions from job sites, guys, stuff that doesn't fit, all basically runs through me, and it's pretty rewarding at the end of the day to sit back and go, hey, I got all that taken care of.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Whenever there is an issue, again, Dave is the one that they'll call, and with his years of experience in the trade, it's just how he can figure it all out and relay it to, you know, our customers, our employees. It's just amazing. It's just, he's like a wealth of knowledge here.
Something else that makes it good in that when I worked in the field, I enjoyed, you know, you'd spend 12 months or 6 months or 18 months on a project, and then you go to a different project and you meet all new people. It's a different type of work. So you get to move around and you're not static unless you're like Frank in the shop every day. But,
Yeah.
you know, you get to move around and you get to do a lot of different stuff and meet a lot of different people and be part of a lot of really neat projects.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to focus on real quick, because you've got people who are working in the shop who might be working on sheet metal fabrication for a handful of different things. But you guys also have a whole heating and air conditioning and installation and maintenance repair. And you guys, I assume, work with a handful of other contractors and builders. Can you talk a little bit more about the breadth of what you guys do at Simpson?
Sure. So we have right around 70 employees, and we, you know, it starts in the office. We have a staff of maybe a dozen people that handle estimating and office work. Our shop, we have generally six guys in the shop that are, you know, that are out there. And then when it comes to the job sites, we, you know, on the commercial end, we do everything from hotel work to wineries to, we do a lot of school work. And, you know, we probably have half of the rest of our team doing that. And the rest of our team does residential new construction. And then we have a whole department that has 6 or 8 guys that go into people's homes and change out existing furnaces and air conditioners. And then we have a service department that services all that equipment.
You serviced my HVAC unit.
Oh,
so twice actually. So.
Okay.
And most people, typically the trade, most of it is in the field labor. I showed you the shop, but we have 6 or 7 shop guys and probably 50 field guys. So that kind of puts a general, like we make everything for the field guys, but there's definitely more
people out in the
field. And that's at every company.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I heard so many skills that you guys appreciate and enjoy using in your work and that are needed in the line of work that you do. So for someone who's thinking, wow, I think I might want to do that. I want to, you know, really check that out. I don't know if I'd be good at it though. I mean, what do you guys think like are the top, you know, 5 or so skills for somebody, you know, before they learn how to do it, obviously, but bringing that they would bring into that entry level position?
I think the two that it super boils down to for me is motivation, and they have to care. Like I've seen guys that I've had in the shop that have been smart and good, but they don't care about what they're doing. And it shows. I'd rather have someone that wasn't quite as smart right off the bat, that cares when they make a mistake, that cares if they do good. For me, that's 95% of it. And obviously motivation, they have to want to do the work, but I've had a lot of good guys that just don't care. if they make a mistake or if, you know, they do good. And it definitely shows in their work.
You need to know your math. I mean, it's not heavy math. It's not physics, calculus, but geometry. I mean, is a big part, as Frank said. You also need to be, you know, be able to write. You'll make drawings, you know, sketches in the field. You'll have to write daily reports. You know, you deal with people, so your people skills, those are basic skills you need to bring into the trade. I mean,
Great. That's really helpful.
And I'll throw in there, you need
Yeah.
to be a team player. It's super important around here because we are a really tight-knit group of people, and it really takes a person that wants to be a part of the whole, that, like Frankie said, has motivation, that this is what they want to do. And it makes a big difference if your heart's in it or if it's not. And this whole business is really run by heart. And it's important that people get in here that really want to be a part of the whole. And we definitely look for that in people. And there's also another little basic thing. If you're going to come to work here, you better have a clean driving record. I mean, there's the basics too, right? Sure. That we can't overlook, because I can't hire someone if they don't have a good driving record. And, you know, all those little things, you know, come into play.
Yeah, thank you. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
Do you guys put 2 people in a truck right now with COVID, or are people want a truck? I mean, I know it varies, but
all of our employees have their own trucks. And if not, they don't have one, they report to the job in their own vehicle. So we try to be cautious of everything that we do and keeping everybody healthy and safe.
So one of the things that we've found with the Construction Corps program is there are quite a few high school seniors that still don't have their driver's licenses. And so by the time we get to the summer with the boot camp, some of the students couldn't be placed with companies because they couldn't get around and they didn't have a driver's license. So we're trying to make sure everybody knows how important that is.
Well, the union won't let you in unless you have at least a GED, if not a high school diploma, and you have to have a current driver's license. If you don't have those things, they won't even take your paperwork.
Oh, great. That's really good to know. Thank you.
Robin, on that note, you mentioned the North Bay Construction Corps, and I think the best way to end is to talk about how the students that are watching this, especially if they're in high school, can start to get on a path to enter the building trades. So will you talk a little bit about the North Bay Construction Corps?
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. The Construction Corps is a career exploration and basic skill building program for high school seniors. So what they do if they want to be part of the program is they fill out an application, we have interviews, and then we have about a 5-month-long program where we meet once a week from the end of January till the middle of May. So it's the last semester of your senior year. And at every one of those meetings, we hear from a different trade, a different business owner, a different contractor, like Simpson Sheet Metal. They have been involved since the first year. This is our 5th year with the program. So essentially what's so great about this program is it's taught by industry. So Barbie would come in and talk to the students about all the stuff that we've been talking about here. You know, what you need to know if you get into the industry, what kind of training you need, and how you can be successful once you get there. If you are successful through the first 4 months of the program, where we're meeting 1 night a week and 1 Saturday a month, then you're invited to attend the boot camp. Last summer, because of COVID, we couldn't have a big boot camp together. So we ended up placing students with companies for 2-week temporary hires. And that model worked really, really well for our students who were 18. So essentially you learn from industry, you have a lot of face time with different industry members, you earn either a scholarship or wages during the boot camp, $750 scholarship, and it's usually a little bit more with the wages. And then a lot of our students are hired in entry-level positions by local construction companies. And it could be sheet metal, it could be framing, painting, concrete, roofing, I mean, plumbing, electrical, solar, you name it. We have information and industry people who are willing to, you know, to come up and teach our students about the great opportunities in construction. So if you're interested, you should go to our website. It's www.constructioncorps.org. I think Brandon will type it into the chat. Check it out, and you can get your application there as well. And we really encourage you, if you think you're interested at all in construction, to participate in this program.
Yeah, I just added it to the YouTube chat function for anybody who's interested in checking that out. As we close it down, I do want to thank Robin, the co-host from the North Coast Builders Exchange. I'm Brandon with the CT Foundation. I want to thank everybody over there at Simpson Sheet Metal for joining us and giving us an inside scoop about what you guys do every day. And then, of course, we need to thank the students who are watching, whether it be live or after this. I do want to mention that we have, so today is Tuesday, we have an event, another virtual activity in 2 more days, on Thursday, with Nordby Construction, where we're going to be looking at some really interesting construction sites, including the excavation of a wine cave. So check out the CT Foundation website. It's ctesonomacounty.org/virtual CCL. That stands for Career Connected Learning. And I'm sure you guys already visited that page, and that's how you got this, the access to this video. But visit that again, and you'll get all of what you need to be a part of the next activity. So once again, I want to thank everybody, and hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Barbie. Thanks.
Bye, of course.